So let's talk about our final essay, which is going to be a proposal essay that also has a research component. So we're going to be using Elizabeth Kolbert's book, The Sixth Extinction, as the basis for this project. And what we're going to do is we're going to take, remember her kind of goal in this book is really to argue that humans have altered life on Earth in a pretty fundamental way, in a way that no other species has. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at one of the ways that humans have altered life on this planet and do a research project in terms of what is the problem that has happened and what can be done about that problem. So I've listed off a few ideas that you can pursue. And if you have a different idea, feel free to email me or drop into office hours and we can talk about your idea as well. But one of the first ideas is what could be done to protect a particular plant or a particular insect or a particular animal. So something that seems to be kind of an important species or something that might be endangered, and what we can do to protect that. So that could be one way that you would go into it. And you wouldn't just kind of talk about all insects in general or animals in general, but rather a specific plant or specific species. The next one, what can be done about coral reefs? Kolbert has a whole chapter on coral reefs. So what could we do about that? What could be done to halt the spread of a particular invasive species? Again, Kolbert has a whole kind of chapter on this problem. And she also talks a little bit about the spread of introduced pathogens. So pathogens that come from a different part of the world being brought into a new part of the world. So in this case, you could look at a specific bacterium or a specific fungus or a specific virus. And then what should be done to protect open, undeveloped land. So she talks about the importance of that as well. And so those are some possible approaches that you could take to this essay. But again, if you have a different idea, you can go ahead and choose another topic and just run it by me, either through email or in office hours. Okay, so that's our topic. That's what we're going to be looking at. And what we're going to be doing in the essay is we have to make sure we're meeting these five large requirements. So that it has to be some sort of problem that Kolbert kind of talks about in her book. We're going to summarize Kolbert's findings about how humans have impacted that particular topic. And then you have to meet the minimum word count. So this essay is a little bit longer than what we've been doing, actually quite a bit longer. So 2,000 to 2,400 words, and then 8 high quality sources. In terms of how we're going to develop this essay, we're going to kind of look at developing it in different sections. So in one section, we're going to explain the problem. In another section, we're going to kind of evaluate what's been done or what is proposed to be done and why you think it hasn't worked or why you think it won't work. And then lastly, what is your plan? What do you think should be done? So we'll have these 3 different sections that you'll be working on, and I'll do separate videos on each one of these sections. Sometimes people feel a little bit intimidated by the word count here, 2,000 to 2,400 words. And so what we're going to do is we're going to really break this assignment down into kind of manageable sections, and each one of these sections is going to be around 7, maybe 800 words. And so then you're able to kind of just kind of work on kind of what we're going to call like little mini essays or little mini sections here that then we'll put together as a whole essay then when you submit the final project. Okay, so again, as with all the prompts, make sure you kind of go through all the other resources that I've got listed on the prompt. So this idea of how to find sources, so make sure you go through these things. When you're writing your essay, we want to make sure we're still bringing in all that stuff we've learned all term in terms of different rhetorical appeals of logos, ethos, and pathos, and using different modes of development. You can really do some really great work in this essay with narration and illustration and description if you want to really kind of establish that problem here in section 1 and make us kind of care about the problem and see that it's an important thing to solve, and different organizational plans and your tone and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you're still using all of these elements of kind of creating strong writing as you work through this essay and start drafting this essay. Okay, so in terms of our major requirements, so in order to pass the essay, you have to meet all these major requirements. So the topic has to be from Kolbert's book. It should be in the structure that we talked about with these 3 different sections. You should have a hot introduction, make sure that's in there. All of your body paragraphs should be using one of these models that we've been studying, so either the test model or the axes model. In terms of Kolbert's book, you should cite that at least twice somewhere in your essay. And along with Kolbert's book, you need 8 additional sources. So you'll have a total of 9. 1 is Kolbert and then the additional 8 sources. In terms of integrating your sources with no more than 2 lines. So make sure you remember that. Okay, MLA formatting and our works cited page and all that kind of stuff, kind of the same things that we've been looking at all semester. And then also make sure you have your conclusion in there. Use the rubric, because remember, this is exactly how I'm going to be grading your essay. So use that rubric as your kind of your final checklist to make sure you met all the requirements. The other additional thing in here, did I put the visuals? Okay, I forgot to mention it up here. We're going to include some visuals into the essay as well. Let me bold that to make sure you don't forget it. So we're going to cite Kolbert's book twice, and we want to use at least 3 different visuals to develop our pathos appeal as well. Just as Kolbert's book had illustrations in it, she had these different images. Sometimes kind of historic images, sometimes kind of just so we all knew what the species looked like when she was talking about it. We're going to do something similar in our essay. So we'll have at least 3 different visual argument or 3 different visuals somewhere in it. So it can be an actual illustration. As you might have noticed, I put some illustrations here at the top of this thing. So like if you're talking about a particular species and that's in danger, go ahead, or that should be protected, go ahead and give us some pictures of that, right? And so that could be one of your visuals, or you could have different charts or graphs or whatever other visual you want, but you need a minimum of 3. You can always include more. So again, make sure you're going through this rubric to make sure you kind of use it as a checklist. Make sure you're not missing any of these things. And then we always have our different writing tools. So make sure you kind of look through those different writing tools and use them as you develop your essay. Okay, I will be creating more videos on each one of these sections. So make sure you come out and watch those videos as those different sections become due. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling a lot here. As these different sections become due, make sure you watch those videos as well. Okay, you guys, come and see me in Zoom if you have questions, and we'll talk soon.